Now let's move further afield. New York is offering citizens a $100 incentive to get a COVID-19 booster shot. As Omicron sweeps across the U.S., New York City is once again recording a record number of infections. Reports also suggest that U.S. President Joe Biden must relax travel restrictions on southern African countries soon. Let's speak to our U.S. correspondent now, William Denselow, who joins me now from New York City. William, obviously these incentives, $100, I would definitely go for my booster shot, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. If I hadn't had one already, that would be certainly a nice perk as we head into the Christmas holidays. This is not something that is new particularly for New York City, in the fact that when we had the initial rollout of the Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson shots, the city back in the summer introduced similar incentive programs, including cash incentives to get people vaccinated. So that program for booster shots is now underway here in New York City. It's eligible at all city vaccination sites until December 31st. We've heard just an hour or so ago from New York City's Mayor Bill de Blasio. He says that he's not in favour of any further COVID-19 restrictions, any shutdowns, even though the number of cases of confirmed COVID-19 cases here in the city is now at fresh record highs. He says that the city is in for an intense but brief fight against this Omicron variant, but he says that through vaccinations and through more testing, the city is prepared to handle it.
Now tell me a little bit about, this call for the president to allow us to visit you or allow you to visit us. Does it look like he'll give in to that call?
Well, we've certainly seen some degree of precedent overseas, of course, with Europe, the likes of the United Kingdom announcing that they're set to ease those travel restrictions on South Africa and other neighbouring nations in the coming days. So we've heard from Joe Biden, as you rightly mentioned slightly earlier this week, that he says that he's going to be speaking with his team and he'll be talking about this more in the coming days. Of course, we have seen the US increase some restrictions when it comes to travellers coming in. You have to have at least 2 shots of a COVID-19 vaccine, and you need to have a PCR test within 24 hours of arrival in the United States. But there's certainly increasing pressure, considering that the CDC now says that the Omicron variant is the dominant strain here in the United States, that it's time to at least have an even playing field for all travellers to come into the country.
William, before I let you go, New York City is one of those cities that, at least here in South Africa, we really want to be at on the 31st of January. A lot of activities happening there. What type of Christmas are U.S. citizens expected to have? Tell me about your lockdown regulations right now and what type of Christmas you're going to have.
Well, when it comes to the restrictions that are in place here in New York City, nothing new has come in, even though COVID-19 cases are spiking. We're now at over 15,000 cases reported in a single day here in New York City earlier this week. Despite that, what we're really seeing from the city is that vaccinations remain key. What that means is that if you want to go to some of your favourite bars, restaurants, indoor venues, if you want to see a sports team, a concert, you can. That is not changed at this point in New York City. However, you need to show proof of vaccination to enter these facilities. The Mayor Bill de Blasio says that is unlikely to change. Despite that, though, we're seeing companies take efforts, and you can see the pain that this rise in COVID cases is causing the city. We've seen more than half a dozen Broadway shows announce that they're cancelling shows until at least Boxing Day, December 26th. That includes the likes of Hamilton, The Lion King, Aladdin, Harry Potter. Those shows are all on pause, so that will certainly cause a lot of disappointment for any travellers that have arrived in New York City hoping to see a Broadway show and these particular shows over the next couple of days. So there's real concern about what this means for businesses. Of course, a restaurant, if there's a COVID-19 outbreak in a kitchen, for example, the ramifications that could have for a restaurant over this busy holiday period could be immense. But at the moment, widespread regulations here in the city are somewhat unchanged. Vaccinations remains the absolute gold standard here.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time. U.S. correspondent William Denselow in New York City for us. Now,